Hello and welcome back to the Sports Sermon. I'm Dylan Staggy.
I'm Jason Gandhi.
I'm Zach Munson.
And I'm Dan Maiden.
And today we are back to talk about the Phoenix Suns. What is next for the Phoenix Suns? So first we'll talk about what happened last season. Jason, what do you have on that?
So last year there were a lot of up and downs for the Phoenix Suns, but all in all, they groomed the young guys nicely. Devin Booker led the team in points per game, including a 70-point outburst against Boston. Markelle Chris showed potential. He was hurt and really didn't have that many, didn't do well stat-wise, but showed potential. Allen Williams was one of their biggest surprises of the year, averaging a double-double the second half of the season, really playing well. And then Tyler Ulis, the steal in the draft for them, averaged a double-double the second half as well, and he made a lot of our rookie second teams a while back. So the Suns have a lot of young pieces to be optimistic about, and I think they're just one or two missing pieces away for really putting themselves in the playoff conversation.
All right, so the Suns obviously didn't have a great season, though, in terms of records, so they do have a high pick, number 4, also number 32, and 54 in the second round. So let's talk about what they should do with their draft picks. Dan, what do you have them doing at 4?
At 4, I have Phoenix taking Tatum. I think he would be perfect to match up with Booker and look good for the future.
Along with Tatum, I think that their first option should be Josh Jackson. He's probably the best defensive wing in the draft. He'd be great on offense and defense, average 16, 7.5, and 3. I think that'd be a great pair.
Yeah, I think Josh Jackson has got to be their number 1 guy. Some great offensive options with Bledsoe, Booker, Chris, and Dragan Bender if he ever gets good. So I think Josh Jackson would bring the defense. And Jason Tatum, not as good defensively, more of an all-around guy. So I definitely think if Josh Jackson is not there, Jason Tatum's the guy. And also De'Aaron Fox is in play at 4. If they want to trade Bledsoe, I think they should take him. But if Bledsoe is their answer long-term, no De'Aaron Fox for me at 4. Jason, what do you think?
So I was going through, like you guys said, I was going through Josh Jackson, Jason Tatum, De'Aaron Fox, and I started looking at who the Suns have worked out. They have not worked out either of those 3 players. They were working out Josh Jackson this weekend, so I guess they haven't worked out Tatum and they haven't worked out Fox yet. I know a lot of teams are trying to get that done by Monday. The 3 lottery guys they've looked at are Malik Monk, Zach Collins, and Jarrett Allen, which are some weird spots if they're looking at number 4.
I mean, maybe they're looking to trade down.
That's what I'm thinking. That, or maybe get out of the lottery and get players. I don't know. I think Monk is an option, but my mock, I have Jason Tatum, but I think it's definitely something to look at that they haven't worked out either of those 3 guys.
All right, so let's move on to pick 32. What are some options that you like at 32 for the Suns, Dan?
I think you can get a solid first-round talent at 32. Guys like Jordan Bell, maybe, Yvonne Rab, or maybe even Tyler Lydon, I don't know. Could fall out of the first round. So if not, then you can pick up a guy like Thomas Bryant or maybe even Tony Bradley.
Yeah, I also like Tony Bradley. I think one of the weaknesses for the Suns is a center because they do have Tyson Chandler, who is getting old, and Dragan Bender and Marquise Chris are both probably the 4 position. So I like Tony Bradley and Ivan Rabb and Thomas Bryant, as well as DJ Wilson too. 6'10", nice around the basket, great defensively. He played really well for Michigan.
Yeah, I think at 32 you got to be looking at a 3 or a stretch 4, especially if they don't pick a 3 at pick number 4. And you guys both said DJ Wilson and Yvonne Rabb. Another guy, Semi Ojeleye, he is projected to go at the end of the first round right now. But if he falls, I think he'd be a good fit at 32 for the Suns.
Yeah, some guys I know they've worked out that I like is Semi Ojeleye and also Jordan Bell, who I know a lot of us have going late first round. He's really rising up in that middle to late first round. Kennedy Meeks, Josh Hart, Jonathan Motley, Kobe Simmons, Kyle Kuzma, who I'm a big fan of, and Devin Robinson. Really, I think I've said this on all the ones that have early 30 picks, it really just comes down to who the Suns have at the top of their board. I know a lot of teams use the tier system for talent, and it's kind of hard to judge these early second-round picks because you don't know who's going to fall out of the first round. You don't know where these teams really have these guys ranked, and so I went with just some guys they've worked out. I think everyone that we've mentioned is a chance, but it's so hard to predict where they go because you just don't know who's going to fall out of the first round.
All right, let's move on to 54 any late round prospects that we like for the Suns. Dan, what do you think?
I think they should look at guys that played really well in college, but maybe might not pan out in the NBA. Guys like Jaren Blossomgame, Dwayne Bacon, or Tyler Dorsey.
Yeah, I really like Dwayne Bacon. Averaged 17 points a game. He was a big-time recruit coming out of high school, and he had a pretty good career at Florida State. Also, maybe Sindarius Thornwell, who played really well at South Carolina.
Yeah, I think the Suns should maybe look at guard position. A lot of depth at guard late in the draft. Some guys that I thought of: Sindarius Thornwell, like Zach said, Nigel Williams-Goss, or Frank Mason at 54 if they're available.
Yeah, I also just went a lot of guys that could pan out but have a lot of question marks, and they've looked at a guy, especially Andrew White III, who's been a lot of people have tried to work him out this past week. He's had 6 workouts in the past week and 12 in this whole draft process. Andrew White III, I think, is a viable option there. Also, Dylan Brooks, Zach Irvin, and Wesley Iwundu from Kansas State are all guys that they've worked out recently and I think have a legitimate chance to go with that 54 spot.
All right, let's move on from the draft and go into free agency. Who should the Suns pick up in free agency that would help their roster immediately and definitely down the road too, because the Suns aren't really going to be too great next year? Jason, who do you have?
You know, I went with the same type of guys we talked about a lot recently, the young guys with potential. So I remember I didn't have him on my list until Zach mentioned him for the Kings. Michael Carter-Williams, I think, is a good fit here. Tim Hardaway Jr., Tyler Ennis, if they're looking to get more guards. We know how much I love Tyler Ennis by now. But if you're looking at some big guys, Dwayne Dedmon, Nerlens Noel, if you can get him out of Dallas, JaVale McGee, and then I think Shabazz Muhammad's a sleeper guy. Just a lot of young guys that maybe will have some potential that can go somewhere and get a decent contract because the Suns have money to spend.
Yeah, for mine, I mentioned the stretch 4 position at 32. Nikola Mirotic, I think, is a guy that they could look at.
Is he restricted or unrestricted?
I think he's restricted, but
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah.
if the Bulls are kind of
They're tight on money
yeah,
already.
because Dwayne Wade's contract last year.
And Butler.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I think Nikola Mirotic is maybe a guy the Suns could look at. Also, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. He's also restricted with the Pistons. But the Pistons, actually, I was looking at their payroll last night, and they have a lot of guys under contract for the next few years, and a lot of bad ones, including John Lure and Boban Marjanovic. So Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, a guy that maybe surprisingly could get lured away from the Pistons.
Yeah, I also like Kentavious Caldwell-Pope as well as Otto Porter. Otto Porter, the Washington Wizards will likely offer him a max contract, so if you can get him, then that'd be great. I like Otto Porter a lot. Have to keep in mind that Phoenix isn't really like a hot landing spot for free agents for some reason, so it'll be kind of hard to get the top players, like the top 10 free agent players. But I also like JaMychal Green and as well as Otto Porter, as I said before.
Yeah, Phoenix is already young. I think that they should definitely stay young. There are 2 main guys that they should target: Nerlens Noel and Otto Porter. Both are very young and have great potential. Pick up those 2, and you have a bunch of guys with promising potential.
Okay, let's move into trade rumors now. A trade that makes sense for the Suns this offseason so that they can get better now, get some better fits, and plan for the future. Jason, what is your proposed trade for the Suns?
So when I was making these notes, I have one trade, but then this past 24 hours, there's been a lot of talk about the Lakers trading down and the Suns wanting to move up to take Lonzo. So the trade I have, if they were going to do that, which I would do it in a heartbeat if I'm the Lakers, I'm not sure I'd do it if it was the Suns, the 4th pick in Miami's first rounder for the number 2 pick. Some people are high on Miami next year because they have a lot of cap space. Some people aren't. If I'm the Lakers, I'm taking that risk on the Heat. They don't have a star besides Whiteside. But that's one trade. But then also more of a blockbuster, I guess, would be Eric Bledsoe and pick number 4 for Willie Cauley-Stein, pick 5, pick 10, and a top 5 protected next year. I think it's a lot to give up if I'm the Kings for Eric Bledsoe. But I've seen it a lot popped up a lot throughout this past week, so I think it's definitely an option that could be coming around.
That is definitely a lot for the Kings
Right?
to give up. If I'm the Suns, I am running to the phone for that.
Yeah.
Mine is going to be a trade with the 76ers. I think if Josh Jackson's there at 3, he should be the Suns' guy. and I think they should do this trade to move up to 3. The number 3 pick and Jahlil Okafor for number 4, number 32, and Brandon Knight. The 76ers improved their guards with getting Brandon Knight and are kind of done with Jahlil Okafor. The Suns get to move up and get their guy in Josh Jackson. The Sixers can still move down and get Jason Tatum.
I have 2 trades. This one is with the Suns and the Celtics. So the Suns would get Amir Johnson, Marcus Smart in the number 1 pick, and Boston would get Eric Bledsoe, Alex Len in the number 4 pick. Obviously, Alex Len, who's still young, who does have some potential, as well as Eric Bledsoe, who's a good young point guard. I think he's around 26 years old. And the Suns get the number 1 pick that they want and get Markelle Fultz to replace Eric Bledsoe. Another one is between the Suns, Bulls, and the Celtics. Suns would once again get the number 1 pick. They get Nikola Mirotic, as I think Dylan said earlier, as well as Marcus Smart. Boston would get Jimmy Butler in the number 4 pick, which they would love that, I think. And then the Bulls, they get Avery Bradley, Jonas Jerebko, and T.J. Warren. This would be a trade if the Bulls are really worried that Jimmy Butler is going to leave in free agency.
I've got another trade involving the number 1 pick. 3-team trade with Boston, Phoenix, of course, and Indiana. Phoenix receives Monte Ellis, Jay Crowder, Marcus Smart, and the number 1 pick. Boston receives Paul George and the number 4 pick. And Indiana receives Eric Bledsoe, Alex Len, and Jaylen Brown.
That's the worst trade for the Pacers.
See,
You're not getting any picks?
No, but they pick up 2 top 5 picks in the past few years.
Yeah, and they're going to lose.
I don't like Alex Len, though.
Yeah,
Jaylen Brown.
Alex Len's a free agent.
I like
too.
Brown. I like Bledsoe, but
Yeah.
I'd almost rather get what the Suns got. Avery Bradley, Marcus Smart, I think you said.
They got Monte Ellis, Jay Crowder, Marcus Smart.
Ellis, Jay Crowder, and the first pick.
Yeah.
If I'm the Pacers, I'd rather have that. I don't know. I just feel like that's not very much to give up. You're a guy that's a top 10 player in the league.
Yeah, I'm not doing that if I'm the Pacers.
Yeah, if I'm Kevin Pritchard, I'm walking out of there so fast. I don't know. That's interesting.
There's not a lot of trades that make sense for the Pacers, though. I mean, I was looking at a few proposed trades earlier, and not a lot of them really make sense for the Pacers.
They're going to have to give up something somewhere, but I would at least get picks so you can pick who you get. I don't know. That's how I look at it. It's like you'd rather get to make your decision instead of getting stuck with somebody that they took 3 years ago.
I agree.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's now move into headlines next season for the Phoenix Suns. Zach, what do you have?
So my headline is Rooks and Book flash promising potential. So I said Rooks, and I mean by very young players because the Suns is a very youthful team. They got a lot of young players. Obviously, Rooks and Book. Devin Booker, their star player, put up 70 points in 1 game. He's going to be a future top 5 player, I think, in my opinion.
Top 5? Wow.
I think so. Once LeBron leaves the league in his prime.
Top 5.
Top
Better than
10.
KD, Steph, Harden, Westbrook, and Kawhi.
Top 10.
When
Okay.
Booker's in his prime, he could be top 5.
Yeah, I agree.
Really?
Once LeBron and KD get old,
When Booker's in his prime.
I'm not that
he's
high.
like-
He doesn't play defense.
he's like 20 years old.
He's improved on his defense, but his defense is not good.
Harden doesn't play defense.
He does now. D'Antoni's made him.
I mean,
I don't.
I
don't know, that's-
top 20.
I could go top 10, top 15. I can get around top 15.
I think definitely top 10.
I think-
Maybe
Definitely
for
top
sure,
10.
for sure top
like,
10.
you'd put money on top 10.
Yes.
Devin
Fine.
Booker.
Yes.
I can't get around that. If this,
Yeah, I'll say it. If the Suns are a top team, which
they
'cause
won't.
you're not going to be in a bad team and still be a top 10 player. So I'm assuming that the Suns are going to get better with their young team.
I mean, but like, so you think, what if it's like a Westbrook case where his team's terrible behind him, but he has to lead his team? Like, do you think he's able to do it then? He'll be a top 10 player, similar to like what Russell Westbrook's doing, where he's got nobody behind him, he's just to carry the team night in, night out.
I always think that he needs more help than he has right now. Because Devin Booker, I mean, I think I'm just banking on the fact that they're going to improve as a team. He'll be a
So
top
why
10
do you
player.
think he's going to be top 10?
basically what Zach said. I think he's.
Just as your team improves, he's going to get better.
I don't know why it's a huge deal. I mean, Devin Booker is a
just-
star. He's 20 years old. How is this a...
I just wouldn't
top
call him a
10?
star yet.
I mean, yeah, he dropped 70 in a game, but I
It's
mean,
not just that.
it's not because it's because he gets the ball all the
I-
time.
I mean, I saw like 10, like as a Laker fan, I've seen 10 to 15 different articles where they've said D'Lo Russell's better than Devin Booker right now.
Well,
so many
he
times.
does- I do not agree with that at all.
Why?
I don't agree with that, but
Because-
I don't think Devin Booker is going to be a top 10 player.
I would not call Booker a star yet. He's
not
shown.
starting
He's
yet.
a young star. He's a young star.
Yeah.
He's 20 years old, bro.
Do you not think of young star? I think of Karl Anthony Towns or Joel Embiid. I don't think of Devin Booker.
Well, yeah, because he's 20 years old.
How old's Karl Anthony Towns?
21.
Oh wow.
All right, well, we'll see in the future. Plenty of time for Devin Booker to see if he can be a star in the league. Dan, what is your headline?
I have when will the future start? Phoenix has picked up so many young, promising players in the past 5 years or so, and they're one of the youngest teams of all time. And the future looks very bright, and I think they can't wait for it to start.
Mine's pretty simple. Fountain of youth. Zach kind of already touched on it. Lots of young guys. They started the youngest lineup of all time last year against the Mavericks, I think. They were younger than some college teams. They've got a lot of young talent. It's just about turning them into stars.
Yeah. All right, my headline is going to be, don't let the sun get in the eyes of the 2020 vision. The Phoenix
Wow.
Suns getting in the eyes of the 2020 vision because, around 2020, the Suns might finally be good.
Wow, good one.
But don't go all in. Don't trade all of your prospects for one guy. The Suns got to stay focused and trust the process, and they will be good in a few years.
I feel like for the Lakers, Kings, Suns, those are the three teams we've done like this past week. It's all kind of trust the process. Just keep
Exactly.
it. And I feel like it gets so repetitive. At least like for me, especially, I'm like as I'm taking my notes, I'm like, all right, we said the same thing, same free agents, same stuff. Like it's just a lot of just all right, stay the course. Don't try to get too good too quickly. Just do your thing. And yeah, I don't know. I think that's interesting that the Pacific Division, you've got two very good teams. Like there's no average team in the division. You've got two very good teams and three very bad teams. They're on their way. I don't know. I think it's interesting. This Pacific Division's definitely been a fun one to do for sure.
All right, and speaking of young players, we're going to go into our top 5 now. Today we are ranking the top 5 players that are under 21 currently in the NBA, not including the current draftees that are going to get drafted soon. So, Zach, who is your number 5?
At 5, I got Brandon Ingram from the Lakers. He's shown a lot of flashes of his potential and what he can become. Obviously, he had some Kevin Durant comparisons early on, which are kind of unfair. But he's a very versatile scorer, who I think will be a very good player in this league.
Dan?
At number 5, I've got Buddy Hield. He didn't look good to start the year when he was on the Pelicans, but started to look like a number 6 overall pick when he averaged 15 points per game and shot 48% from the field with Sacramento this year.
My number 5, I went Jaylen Brown. Definitely a stud, I think will be a stud for the Celtics. Finally lock up that 3 position, assuming Crowder's not the long-term fit. I think Brown's got a lot of potential, and that's why I went number 3 in the draft.
For my number 5, I'm going to go with Jamal Murray. He showed some offensive potential this year for the Nuggets, and especially in the Rising Stars game where he won MVP, he can really shoot the rock, get his shots. He just has to improve defensively and has a lot of time to do it because he is not even 21 yet.
Yeah, I went Jamal Murray at my number 4 also. Or you had him at 5, I had him at 4. I thought the Rising Stars game was the first time I actually saw him shoot the ball like he did in college. I thought he looked very comfortable in that setting, and I've seen that a lot with players, like especially with Ingram and Russell from the Lakers, and I think it was Booker that played well 2 years ago. Like it seems like that Rising Stars game just gives the guys almost like back to their college days where it's not these stars every night. You get like to get in your element a little bit. So I think that Rising Stars Challenge is definitely a big thing and why I have Jamal Murray at number 4.
At 4, I also had Jamal Murray. As you mentioned earlier, he had 36 points in the Rising Stars Challenge on 9 threes. I think he'll shoot the three-point shot a little better next year, and he was an instrumental role in trying to help the Nuggets contend for a playoff spot this year.
I've got Jaylen Brown, number 4. Was a little bit of surprise last year in the draft. Only averaged 7 points per game, but played only 17 minutes this year as Boston was a title-contending team. So if he can get more minutes in these next few years, he could develop into something that you would expect as a number 3 pick.
All right, for my number 4, I'm going to go with Thon Maker. I am a believer in Thon, and honestly, I don't even know if he's under 21 because of his whole age thing. But apparently, according to Google, he is under 21, and I am a believer in him. I think he'll be as good as Kristaps Porzingis in a few years, and will continue to get better lots of time in this young Bucks organization.
Yeah. At my number 3, I went the Brandon Ingram, my Los Angeles Laker. I think a lot of guys a lot of people were expecting him to come out and like be a star right away. But I don't think many people that watched him play. I think a lot of people knew he wasn't going to have that kind of potential. I think we knew it was going to be a long process of getting his body right so he could be a star. Second half, he played phenomenal, getting career highs every night those last 2 weeks. So I love what Ingram showed, and I think he's got a bright future in the NBA.
At number 3, I had Jaylen Brown. As you said earlier, number 3 pick in the draft, kind of a surprise, but he played pretty well for the Celtics, and as I said earlier, he had a lot of confidence in calling LeBron James just a regular person. But I think he shows a lot of promise.
At 3, I've got Brandon Ingram, like Jason said. He didn't blow anybody away this year in his rookie year, but he still has a lot of time to develop. Like, you give him more time to develop, and I think he could turn into something great.
Yeah, I also have Brandon Ingram at number 3. I think there's a big talent gap between 1, 2, 3 in my list and 4 and 5. Brandon Ingram, he showed a little bit of potential, the KD type, but not very efficient in his first year. Still has plenty of time to improve, though. He's only 19, I think, right?
He's just turned 20, I think. But I don't understand the Kevin Durant comparison besides his body. Like, their bodies move, but they don't play the same at all.
Yeah.
Like, Ingram can't shoot as well as KD. Ingram drives better than KD did. Like, it's just, like, I think the comparison kind of stops after you look at their body and go, okay, they're both skinny and long. Like, I don't know. I just think I always thought it was like, okay, why are we comparing him to KD? He doesn't shoot that well, and he drives a heck of a lot better. I don't know. I just thought that comparison was weird. At my number 2, I went to the guy that has not played a game yet, Ben Simmons. He'd be at my number 1 next year if he plays like I expect him to. I think he'd go ahead of my number 1 then. But just knowing what we know, I think Simmons will be a bright star. He got comparisons to Giannis, Magic, LeBron, all these different comparisons coming out of the draft. I like Simmons. He's just got to stay on the court.
Yeah, at number 2, I also had Ben Simmons. He's yet to play in the NBA, but the potential is just too big to just ignore. Great court vision, great passing ability, a great rebounder. As you said, he had comparison to LeBron James. He can do everything, basically. And, yep, I got Ben Simmons at number 2.
I've also got Ben Simmons number 2. Of course, was hurt this year, but give him more time, and we should see what we expected at the number 1 pick.
For my number 2, I'm going to go with Devin Booker. We talked about him a lot, and although I don't think he's going to be a top 10, top 5 player like you guys said, he's definitely a great talent and can't even drink alcohol yet.
Yeah, he's my number 1. I like what he has. I think he will be a top 20 player in the league. And I don't know, I would have put D'Angelo Russell in here, but he just turned 21 a few weeks ago. I like Booker. He can shoot the ball. He's got to improve on defense. Needs to spread the ball around more. And once we finish these top 5, I'll give you the comparison between Booker and Russell for all you guys that didn't believe me.
At number 1, I also got Devin Booker, future top 10 player in the league. Obviously dropped 70 points in one game. And I think by the time that, like in 6 years, when he's 26 years old and in the prime of his game, when LeBron gets old and Kevin Durant might get old, I think he'll be a top 10 player.
I've also got Booker number 1, averaged 22 points per game in his second year in the league. Had the 70-point performance, of course, which was the most points scored in the game since Kobe. And many believe him and Kat could be top 10 players in the NBA once they hit their prime.
My number 1, you guys all had him at number 2. I think Ben Simmons is my number 1. He is just too good. The court vision, the 6'10" frame. If he can play the point guard position in the NBA, no one is going to be able to guard him. Only downside to him is the shooting.
Yeah. All right, so do you guys want to get into this D'Angelo Russell, Devin Booker debate or not? We don't have to. I'm just saying.
D'Angelo Russell, Devin Booker debate.
Yeah, right now Devin Booker beats him at points by like 3 points, but D'Angelo Russell gets more rebounds, more assists, more steals, and more blocks than him, and has less turnovers.
Okay, I never said Booker would be better than Russell.
No, I mean right now. Yeah, I said that, and you guys were all like, "No, there's no way he's better." I'm like, okay. And Russell attempts less shots than Booker does. I mean, I just think that Booker gets very highly looked at because he's the only guy that scores there. Like, they've got other pieces that score 10, 15 points, but Booker has to do it all. D'Lo has got Ingram. He's got Jordan Clarkson, got Julius Randle that score a good amount of points.
Yeah,
and Lou Williams throughout the season.
That helps D'Angelo Russell, though. I mean, in the other parts
I mean,
of the game.
I just mean like when people look at it, like from the eye test, you don't think, hey, D'Lo's playing really well because you don't see him dropping 30, 40 points. He had 140 points.
When you have better players on your team, that means that there's going to be less help on you. Therefore, you can score more. And like in the Suns, Devin Booker, he's like the main guy.
That's what I'm saying.
Everyone's focusing on. They put their best defender on him. Unlike D'Angelo Russell in some games.
He always, he had LeBron on him and Kyrie on him when he dropped 40. Like, I think it's not like a blowout. I just think that like you can't not put D'Angelo Russell in the conversation where he's just as good. I think he's better, and I think a lot of people do think he's better than Devin Booker. Potential-wise, it just depends on how they develop and how their teams play. Like, you can't really predict that. But I think D'Angelo Russell gets a lot of hate because of this whole stupid Nick Young thing 2 years ago. And now that he's not scoring 30, 40 points, he's developing a slower pace, but he's still staying right there. I don't know. I just felt like that needed to be put in there because he brought up his assist totals by 2 this year. Like, I just think, I don't know. D'Angelo Russell gets a lot of hate. I think he is just as good as Devin Booker, and I think he's better.
Well, guys, stay tuned because in about 8 years, we can settle that debate.
Exactly. Hey, then we'll have Ben Simmons in there and Joel Embiid, all these guys. All right, so what's coming up for the sports sermon? We are going to post the Lakers tomorrow, and then our big board's coming out on Wednesday, and then the day of the draft, we'll have our huge in-depth mock draft about who we think should get taken, who will get taken, all that. Make sure you look at our mock draft that we posted on Saturday. We put out the Colts yesterday. So, yeah, lots of good content here from the sports sermon. Make sure you look at it a lot. Good stuff coming up.
Yeah, and if you want to stay updated on that content, make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button. And follow us on Twitter. The link is in the description. Follow on there. We will post every time we post a new article on our website or a new video. So stay tuned for all this great draft content we have this week, and we will see you guys tomorrow.